Welcome to the On the Edge podcast with your host, Scott Groves. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, it's Scott Groves with the On the Edge podcast. I just want to warn you now, this is probably not going to be a safe for work, safe for your kids podcast because I am interviewing my friend, gym partner. Can I say client? Is that okay?
Yeah.
I am interviewing my client, Vanessa Demopoulos. We just got our place here in Vegas, and I was really hoping we were going to be interviewing you after a big victory at the UFC. And unfortunately, you had a controversial loss, which we'll get into that because I watched the replay about 50 times. So we'll talk about that. But Vanessa is currently a fighter in the UFC. I thought you were like 135 pounds because you got like the thickest thighs of any girl I've ever met. But it turns out you somehow cut weight to 115 pounds. How in the fuck do you get to 115 pounds? Because you're stronger than I am.
Yes, I have to run literally every single day. Like, it's ridiculous. And in fact, it's to the point where like people who see me at the Performance Institute, they're like, well, I thought you just love running. I'm like, no, I'm just a thick bitch that has to fucking run every single day to make weight.
Oh, man. Explain to people who don't know what we're talking about or aren't in the UFC world, which they're going to want to listen to this anyways because you're so entertaining. Explain to them what the PI or the Performance Institute actually is.
Yeah, so for those of you guys that don't know, I am a UFC fighter, like real deal. It's amazing. It's like the dream job of a lifetime. And I get to train at what's called the UFC Performance Institute. So they built this like multi-million-dollar facility, right? And it is just freaking awesome. It has everything that you need, like giant mats, all the bags. They have cages there. They have strength and conditioning downstairs that like we get to do for free. They have like PT in there. So like they have physical therapists in there. Like, I mean, we get free food, free smoothies. I only show up for the free smoothies. Like, I mean, this place is absolutely incredible, right? So, and I train there every single day, like from morning, noon to night.
So as a fighter who like your whole body is like basically your product, right? That sounded kind of dirty, but you get my point. Like how much money were you spending on food, training, physical therapy, cold plunge, all that shit that goes into keeping your body at peak physical condition? Like how much money is it saving you living in Vegas, working out the Performance Institute?
Oh, I can't even do the numbers. I'm not even gonna lie. Like I always just spent money because I was like, well, I fucking need this. Like I need to go cold plunge right now. Like, yes, it's however much, like $150 membership a month, right? But I fucking need this, right? And then separately, it's like, well, all of the massages that I needed to get like twice a week, and then make sure that I'm going to a different physical therapist as well if you get injured. And it's like, that costs a lot of money. Like all of these things add up and they just like topple on top of each other, right? Like $1,000 a month on food because of course I'm eating all organic. Like, of course I'm like cooking all my own stuff. That's time consuming, right? And then like you have to pay for the dietitians that are leading you into what it is that you need to be eating, but you're going to make it yourself. Like, yeah, it was a fucking hassle. Like living here in Vegas, it is a pain-free walk to 115, and I'm a thick bitch. So
I want to hear about that. Like, if you weren't a fighter, what do you think you would walk around at? Because you are thick and muscular. Like, what would you walk around at if you weren't a fighter? What do you walk around at now? And then how much do you have to cut to get down to make weight?
Well, I can't imagine what I would walk around at if I wasn't a fighter. But I know
You'd be like 400 pounds?
I mean, yeah, maybe. Close to it, right? In between camps, I do get up to like 145.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And I'm trying. Like, your girl just likes to eat. Like, I have zero portion control. Like, I will definitely eat healthy. I just eat a lot. Like,
yeah, that's like 1/5 of your body weight, a fourth of your body weight almost. That would be like me dropping from 210 to 160. I haven't weighed 160 since the 11th grade.
Yeah.
Like that's
I mean,
insane.
Patty Pimlet does it.
Yeah, but he's a psycho. You're not a psycho. You might be a little out there, but you're not psychotic. So you walk around about 140, and then when it's time to like, so you had a fight a couple weeks ago. How far out are you having to plan to get to 115?
I mean, I try to plan minimum 6 weeks.
Okay.
8 weeks. Really 8 weeks. Like, I'm losing weight. If I got a fight on the book, which they usually tell us like 12 weeks out, like, thank goodness UFC is amazing. I am starting to kind of like get my mindset locked into eat healthy. Don't eat 17 portions of food. Yeah.
So what can you eat when you get in those last couple weeks and you're like, is it like you get to 125 and then the last 10 pounds is just water weight and you're on like a suicide mission?
Yes. That's exactly what it is. But it's not that hard for me. Well, okay. It's not that hard. It's what I've always done. Like I've had like 26 MMA fights.
Yeah.
And I've always cut to 115, right? So that's pretty like conditioned for me now. Like my body's like, okay, I know what's happening here.
Yeah.
Like my last weight cut was so easy because I think like in my head, I was like, fuck, this is gonna be so fucking hard. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I have to do this. And it wasn't, it was like, oh, that was it? Yeah.
Yeah. And so 8 weeks out, you're 145. Obviously the training, because you're doing 2-a-days and you're doing strength training and stuff.
3 to 4 days, yeah.
3 to 4 training sessions a day.
Correct.
When you're in fight camp?
Absolutely.
All right. So walk us through a day of like fight camp 8 weeks out when you're like in the heat of it.
Oh, well, I mean, yeah. So like I wake up at 8 o'clock, right? And I need like 2 hours before I start to train because I like my slow mornings. I have like my routines, you know, like I ease into my day and then I get to the gym. Training's at 10 o'clock, right? So from 10 until like a little bit past 11, like quarter after, like that's a really intense session, whether that be striking or whether that be MMA, right? And then as soon as that session's over today, for example, I walked right into strength and conditioning. Like there was no break in between. So I go straight from upstairs training to downstairs in the strength and conditioning room. Now I'm kicking ass down there until 12 o'clock.
So is this like sprints, weights, rubber bands? Like what is a strength and conditioning? All of the above.
Yes. The answer is yes. Sometimes we're like pulling weight, you know, like picking shit up, putting it back down. Sometimes it's like fast agility stuff, you know. Sometimes it's high endurance sprints. So they mix it up depending on where you are in your camp. And so I have a death session there in strength and conditioning.
A death session?
A death session. That's what I call them.
What is that?
Oh, that's just, you know, you just go into things to die. Like,
okay.
Yeah. Like you're like, this is going to be fucking hard. Yeah.
Oh my God.
So, and then 12 o'clock is nice and decompressing, right? So like that's lunchtime, like you're chilling. And then I don't like to work out immediately at 1. So I'll work out at 2. You got to let your food digest a little bit, right?
Okay.
So then at 2 o'clock, I'll have another session, whether that's hitting pads, whether that's wrestling, like something of that nature. And then
is this like a little bit more technical? Like you're working on the science of striking. It's like, I mean, it's still physical, but this is where you're getting like drilling time and instruction from people, or are you just balls to the wall again, like 100% wrestling?
Wrestling, I will be more technical, like on like that day. If I've already had like a balls to the wall session in the morning, I'll be technical in the afternoon, right? But if it's like hitting pads, dude, I don't know how to chill. I just don't have any chill. Like I'm just smacking that shit, right?
I was talking to a mutual friend of ours today, Val and Ryan. Ryan was a fighter, got his jaw broken, decided he liked physical training more. Val's one of the most fit women I think I've ever seen in my life, jiu-jitsu black belt. And when I said that I was going to be interviewing tonight, they're like, we love Vanessa. She's loud in person. She's loud on TV. She's just, she has no chill. That's exactly how they described you. And so, okay. So you have no chill. So you go crazy.
I have no chill in training. Yeah. And
right.
Like, I mean, I should have some chill, but I just don't have any.
Right.
So I'll get done with that session. And then as soon as that session's over, before I'm even done sweating, I'll hop on the treadmill, right? And then I'll run for like an hour. Or I'll sit on the bike for like an hour. Like,
what the fuck?
Yeah, it's great. I will grab my iPad.
Like I'm getting sore for you, and I'm just sitting on the other side listening to this.
Yeah, and this is like this is routine for me, right? Like my body's like, okay, we're doing this. Like I'll grab my iPad and my headphones, and I'll just like watch a movie and just like run or get on the Aerodyne bike, right, for an hour, and then after that, I'll sit in the hot tub or like the sauna.
You do an hour on the Aerodyne bike? Mm-hmm. Okay, for anybody that doesn't know what we're talking about, just Google Aerodyne bike, and you will see Aerodyn Aerodyne bike, and you will see guys that after like 2 minutes on that thing fucking pass out. And these are guys that are in good shape, not guys like me that have a little dad pot belly.
Oh, yeah.
But like 2 to 4 minutes on that thing, if you're really working it, you can kill yourself in 4 minutes, and you go on that thing for an hour?
For an hour. The Aerodyne bike is undefeated, bro. The Aerodyne bike is undefeated. Listen. Do
you have any idea? This is a weird question. I shouldn't be asking a woman, but do you have any idea what you walk around with at like body fat percentage when you're in training camp?
I do know that I'm one of the strongest straw weights in the entire division. Like when I say one of, like they told me I'm number 1.
How do they measure that?
Well, the Performance Institute has what's called a DEXA scan. So, and they bring all the athletes in for testing, right? And I mean, some athletes don't go. So I don't know the athletes that have never been tested, but they have, you know, charts of all of us. And
the DEXA scan, like you sit on a thing and it takes like an MRI scan. It tells you your bone mass, your muscle mass, all that stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you have the most muscle mass of any 115-pound girl walking around out there.
That's correct.
Holy shit. Because I was going to ask you, I wrote down one of my questions. I'm like, what is your secret sauce in the ring? Do you think it's endurance, strength, skill? Like, we just watched Marab make Sean O'Malley look silly, and Marab also works out at the same jiu-jitsu gym that we go to. So I kind of knew that guy had an unlimited gas tank. But if I was describing Marab, I'd be like, I don't really know how technical he is. I don't know how strong he is for his size, but that guy has a gas tank for days. So like, what is your secret sauce when you get in the ring that you're like, oh, I've got the best skill, I've got the best strength, like I can knock this person out with one punch, I've got the best endurance. Like, what do you feel is your secret sauce?
Not only all of those, but my secret sauce is really my mindset.
Tell us more about that.
I just don't give a fuck. I just don't give a fuck. Like, that's as simple as that. Like, I don't fucking care. Like, you're literally gonna have to kill me in that bitch. Like, I don't care. Like, I'm prepared to die.
Hey there, Scott Groves with a quick interruption to the podcast. Sorry about that, but I just want to take a quick minute to announce our sponsors here for the podcast, and that sponsor is me, Scott Groves. It's actually the revenue that we generate through doing mortgages here at Neo Home Loans, and the money that we generate from the coaching program that I run, Consolidated Coaching for Loan Officers, coaching by loan officers for loan officers, that helps support this podcast. I really started this in 2021 as a passion project during COVID, and we're excited to bring you a new episode every week. But this only happens if I'm making money in my real full-time job. So please, if you or somebody you know is looking to buy, sell, or refinance a house, our team is licensed in almost every state in the country. And if you know a loan officer who's looking for sales coaching, personal development coaching, lead generation coaching, please get in touch with us, Scott at the Scott Groves team. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love for you to support our other endeavors, which is mortgage financing and loan officer coaching, which allows this podcast to exist. Now back to your regularly scheduled programming. What's the closest you've come to dying in a match?
There was 2 fights. One fight specifically. I fought Caitlin Chukagan as an amateur fighter. She actually made 120, and she's currently a 35er in the UFC.
Which means she's probably walking around like 160.
She's a big girl, she's extremely tall. And I was so confident walking into that fight, man. I don't know. I was deliriously confident because this girl was a Golden Gloves champ. Like, she's been fighting since she was literally a kid. Like, she will post pictures of her when she was 4 years old doing karate, right? So anyways, I fought her as an amateur, mind you, right? So she is so freaking long. She is jabbing me with the stiffest jabs ever, and I'm like front kicking her, and her arms are longer than my legs. Like, there was no reason why that match up made sense in my brain, but it did. And yeah, I was vomiting blood for 3 days after that match. We did not go to the hospital. She definitely.
Hey, next time you're vomiting blood, can you go to the fucking hospital, please?
I know, I should have. She broke my nose. She broke my orbital bone. Like, I mean,
my God.
Yeah, I was tore up, yo. That was the only time I was like genuinely concerned. Like, no, there's never been another fight. Like, I fought Lupita Godinez, and she cut my face up. Like, I look like I just got out of the ring with Edward Scissorhands.
Right.
Like, that's cool. Like, I mean, I had stitches everywhere. But Caitlin, like, that fight, I was concerned.
What's the toughest fight you won?
Maybe Sam Hughes, I would say, is the toughest fight that I won. Or Emily Ducati. Yeah, Emily Ducati was pretty rough as well. But I think Sam Hughes was crazy because, like, I was losing that whole fight. I hate even saying that because it wasn't pretty. But yeah, I wasn't doing well. And my coach was just like, he didn't have any advice for me. This was during COVID. So we didn't have a bunch of corners. We could only bring one coach. So I brought my striking coach, and he didn't have any advice for me because she was beating me in striking. And he's like, use jiu-jitsu. I was like, cool, got it. And then I got her in like a reverse triangle choke and put her unconscious.
Nice.
Yeah.
Was that like at the end of the 3rd round?
That was at the end of the 4th. This was a title fight for the LFA.
Oh, shit, man.
Yeah.
So you admittedly, were getting beat up a little hard. And how like you said, you don't give a fuck. You're going to have to kill me.
I don't fucking care, yeah.
You're going to have to kill me. So you got her to the ground and just choked her out?
Yeah. In fact, I was going for like a rolling knee bar, and then she ended up on top, and I'm, just like boloed over myself, and she's punching me in the head. And I was going for a leg lock, and then I just switched to the inverted triangle, and I got it.
Nice.
It was crazy.
How long you been doing jiu-jitsu?
10 years, over 11 years.
Okay.
Yeah, 11 or 12. Yeah.
What's the strongest part of like your technical game? Wrestling, jiu-jitsu, striking? Like, where do you feel like if I get somebody into these deep waters, they're in deep shit.
Secrets.
Okay. I like it. I like it. All right. So let's go back to the beginning, because why the fuck does a girl want to get into the ring and come out looking like she fought Edward Scissorhands? Like, I'm just going to address the elephant in the room. You're a pretty girl.
Thank
like,
you.
you could be doing, you're a smart girl. I can say this. Unlike other fighters who I've talked to, your finances are in order. We'll just leave it. We'll just leave it at that.
Thank you.
Like, you're not some dumb girl that was like on the path to try to be a bouncer at a bar or something. Like, how does a girl decide, hey, you know what I want to do for a living? I want to get in the ring and get punched in the face and punch other girls in the face. Like, it kind of fits your personality, but when I see like attractive girls, I don't really think like UFC fighter.
Yeah, I growing up in school, right? I used to like get into so many fights. Here's what happened. I was little. And I came from another country. I grew up in Greece. So when I first moved to America, I couldn't speak any English, and I smelled funny.
You're actually Greek, like born in Greece.
Oh yeah. My name's really cool in Greek. Yeah.
What's your real name in Greek?
Christina Vanessa Demopoulos.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
I will never be able to repeat that. So
that's okay.
How old were you when you came from Greece?
I was in technically the first grade.
Okay.
But we start school sooner in Greece, so I like got held back. Yeah, it was, I don't know.
Did you Jewish?
No.
No. Oh man. So you did get picked on.
Yeah. And I smelled funny because like when you're Greek, I was raised by my grandparents and they just like cooked with like heavy garlic all the time. So like, I smelled funny. Like my clothes were all hand-me-down. I mean, I was just a freaking dork. Okay. I was just a dork. And I had a bully who used to pick on me, a real bully. And one day, when I grew up a little bit, like a few grades later, I freaking socked him in the mouth. It
was a guy?
Yeah. It's a big old dude. Yeah. And he used to pick on me. So, yeah, I socked him in the mouth.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
Fuck that guy. Yeah. And, so then I would see other kids getting picked on, and they couldn't stand up for themselves. And I just finally stood up for myself. So I started standing up for them too, and if dudes were like jerks, like I'd be a jerk to them and I'd go up to them and I'd sock them for like, maybe they thought it was no reason, but I'm like, you're a jerk. So I just used to get it. And then I got a bad rep. Right. And then it's like, I'm just getting into all these fights in school.
Were you here in Vegas?
No, I'm from Cleveland.
Oh.
Yeah. Bitch, I'm from Cleveland.
Were you in the hood in Cleveland? Because there's some rough areas of Cleveland.
There are some super rough areas of Cleveland, and I did find myself in those rough areas, but that's not where I grew up.
Okay.
Yeah, I grew up in like the first suburbs outside of the city limits. So it's like it was still rough, but not like
super ghetto.
The fucking hood. Like there's Murder Row, and then anyways.
All right.
Yeah, you get the gist?
Yeah, I got the gist.
Okay. So yeah. So I mean, my school was voted #1 school to potentially be the next Columbine.
What? Wait, first of all, who the fuck votes on that?
I don't know. But that was something that my school was like, yeah, that's what we got voted for. I was like, fucking cool.
All right, so you learn English, you're getting picked on. Did you do like the strip mall karate as a little kid, or did real fighting come later?
I wanted to though. But we didn't have the funds growing up, So like when I became an adult, I started dancing, right? Because I was always an athlete and I found stripping. And then
wait, stripping and dancing are two very different things.
I was a stripper, not a dancer.
Okay.
Yes.
And like from what age to what age?
I started when I was 18.
No shit.
Yeah.
I mean, my wife doesn't listen to this podcast, so we're cool. I have been to some wild strip clubs in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Long story, but I had a business partner.
I was there. That was me.
I knew you looked familiar. No, but I had a business partner for a while who was right outside of Cleveland in one of the super wealthy areas. His backyard was like in a national park. And so I went to Cleveland like 10 times over the course of 3 years. And like, coaching masterminds get boring after a while, and you're, in a hotel for like 4 days. And I'm like, well, let's go see if there's a strip club. And I found out that Cleveland strip clubs are wilder than LA and Vegas strip clubs, which I'm like, oh, this is a whole new world. What? Luckily, I wasn't married at the time to my wife, so I could get away with it. But okay, so you start stripping because that's the path of every young Greek immigrant, or what?
Well,
college wasn't in the plans. Or?
I grew up in the industry.
You're gonna have to explain growing up in the industry for the people that are scared now. I want to report your parents to child services or something.
They should. My mom was a stripper and my dad was a DJ.
At a strip strip club?
Yes.
Shut the fuck up.
And that is how they met.
How do they not have a sitcom about your life?
They really should. Every time I tell the story, people are like, you need to write a book. Yeah.
You do need to write a book. I got a guy.
Oh, all right. Hook me up.
Okay. So, all right. So you grew up knowing that mom was a stripper and dad was a DJ at a strip club?
Yes. It was super public. Like my dad used to talk about like my mom. And he was like, yeah, I used to pimp her out. It was just like crazy. Like my mom used to like kidnap us and like, drug binges and like huge like benders and shit. Like it was crazy. Yeah.
Are you still in touch with your parents or like do you have a relationship with them?
My dad was my best friend growing up.
Okay.
Yeah. Cause like I felt like I could talk to him about literally anything and he never judged me. Actually my dad taught me how to be a professional entertainer, right? Like he didn't teach me how to dance, but he taught me how to be a stripper the professional way to make money in the industry and like not sell my soul. So I wrote a book called Stripper Bible to help girls become exotic entertainers without compromising their values. Cause we all have a different code of like morals,
Right.
Anyways. Yeah.
All right. So
I
gotta be very, there's a lot happening here. I did not know this part of the story. I'm so glad we had you on.
Yeah.
But I gotta be careful because I don't want to out somebody who she has put this in her past. But I dated a girl in high school who moved to Vegas to go to UNLV for like some weird degree in like, I don't know, golf course management or something. Her freshman year, her dad, who was the patriarch of the entire family, was like supporting cousins, nephews, whatever. He died unexpectedly. And so now the family's dead broke. She's in college. She starts stripping. And we stayed in touch, MySpace then or Facebook or whatever. And she told me, she's like, if you have that code of ethics in Vegas, if you can stay away from the drugs and the prostitution and the gambling and all the vices that come with living in that world, she's like, you can make $1 million in a couple of years and get out of Dodge. And so by the time she graduated college, yeah, I can tell the rest of the story. By the time she graduated college, she owned 2 houses free and clear. She had a $100,000 Mercedes-Benz paid for in cash. She got her degree. She got a job with like Tony Robbins' advanced team to work on special events because she knew how to work a crowd. And it's like she parlayed that into a great career. Now she's happily married, living, kids and everything. She does not want this past to be known, so I won't mention her by name. But it's like there's a lot of money to be made in that industry if you can keep your shit together.
Yes. Absolutely. And my dad taught me how to make the money. And he literally said, he's like, whatever you won't do. And this is when I first started, right? Like, I'm like a baby Bambi at this point. My dad's like, think about some things that you'll never do for money. He's like, if you never do them, when you walk away from this industry one day, because you'll still be able to look at yourself in the mirror. And I never broke my code. Because my dad was like, no matter how much money somebody offers you, all you have to do is just work a little bit harder and you can go earn that money. Like, you don't need to take these people's tips, for whatever it is that they're trying to offer you if it goes against your morals. And like, dude, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, my dad was like my best friend. Like, I could talk to him about anything. He never judged me. It was dope.
You're talking in the past tense. Does that mean
he's passed?
I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
We
were cool.
We
had a great relationship.
This is a weird conversation, right? Because it's like when my daughter is 18, I'm going to be having talks with her about who she should and should not trust and hopefully keep yourself out of trouble at college. I think most listeners tuning into this cannot fathom like a father having that conversation to their daughter about how do you take your clothes off ethically. Did it feel weird at all? Or was there any social peer pressure from your other friends that like, this is fucking crazy? Or was it like, no, this is kind of just the family business. I get it.
No, when my dad first found out, he was like, I wish you wouldn't. And I was like, I wish I had more options.
Oh, dude, that's a gut punch for people that have daughters like me.
I know. Yeah. Well, I hope that, there's more options for her.
Yeah. It's like the Chris Rock joke, right? It's like, Dad, you had one job, keep her off the pole. And that's, it's like it's a whole bit of his. Yeah. So for me, it's like, yeah, okay. And what's funny? My wife, you've met, she's lovely. She doesn't cuss. She doesn't say anything bad. When we had Gabriel, our son, she's like, yeah, okay, whatever. Like, if he fucks up, he can swing a hammer and make a really good living as a contractor. Then when we had a daughter, she got deathly serious. She was like, if we fuck up with her, she's going to be a prostitute. And I'm like, whoa. Well, honey, calm down. It's going to be fine. You're a great mom. Like, where did that fearful thought come from? And I was like, ooh, you took it to a really dark place really fast. So, okay, so let's get past that. How long did you do this? And then how does that lead to fighting?
I just retired actually 2.5 years ago.
Oh, you're still doing it?
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. I missed my window. So, okay. So just, is this like fueling the fight camps or like?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Because you don't make money as a fighter. I have been fighting for 14 years. I just got to the UFC 3 years ago, so it's like that whole time before 13 years ago, like this whole 13 years, I needed to make sure that I was like, I'm going to follow this dream. Excuse me. I was like, if I don't quit, if I don't stop, if I don't like give up, I'm going to fucking make it. Like, I don't care how much time it takes. Like, I just can't quit on myself. And there were so many times where I was like, what the fuck am I doing?
Right.
Like, what am I doing? Like, I could choose anything to do in this life. And I continued to take the path of being a fighter. And I really fucking believed in myself, and I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make this happen.
Yeah, because I think people know this about sports. Like 90% of the money goes to the top 10%. Like if you're fighting in anything other than Pride or the UFC, you're not even making a living wage, right?
No.
Like some of these fights, I'm guessing you did for $500, $200,
I was
like that.
losing money to go fight people because I was making on average $1,500 a night to go to work, right? And it's
stripping.
Like yes,
okay,
a night. So
$1,500 a night.
A night.
Dude, I need to get in shape.
When I worked, yeah. So it's like, which I hardly worked because I was training so much. I literally would only work enough to pay my bills. Like we're talking, your girl put herself homeless quite a few times for no reason, right? Because I would make money if I would just fucking work. But I was training 3-4 times a day and I didn't have the capacity to be able to go to work most nights, right? So if I had a fight coming up, it's like, yo, that's taken away my ability to be able to make money. And then it's like that weekends, like you're not going to work the night before that you have to go fight somebody. And then like you're not getting really paid anything. You're not getting paid anything as an amateur. And you're hardly getting paid as a pro. And yeah, so it's like I was like losing money to go fight people. And then especially when I did jiu-jitsu all around the world for 4 years, right? Traveling the world. Like I'm paying for plane tickets, hotel rooms, rental cars, food, and not working, and then paying these companies to go and compete for them. Because like you have to pay like, what is it, like $100 or sometimes $150 just to go get a freaking medal.
You got to go get your athletic card if you want to fight in a real fight. You got to get a medical clearance. Like this shit adds up, right?
Adds up quick. And I was doing that every weekend.
And I'm guessing, I know some of the higher level coaches who would not want me to share their financial cut, but I know in the UFC and beyond, they're like, okay, we'll take a small percentage of the fight fee or whatever. But when you're an amateur, these coaches aren't working for free. You're paying for those jiu-jitsu lessons, striking lessons, wrestling lessons, right?
Yes. I was actually blessed with some really good coaches along the way. So when I first started at Ronin, I helped to build the fight gym that I started training at, right, in Columbus, Ohio. So they took care of me there. And I'm so grateful to them. That was the beginning of my fight career. And then like when I moved, like I have had a lot of coaches who took care of me along the way. And that part is painful to me because I've moved so many times and so many coaches believed in me before I finally made it. And it's like, I can't give back to these amazing human beings that really sacrifice their time and their efforts and their talents to me. Right. And I get to be here now. And I'm always grateful to them if ever I see them. Like I give them so much love and gratitude. But love and gratitude doesn't pay the bills, like you're kind of saying, But they did do it out of like a labor of love for a lot of them.
So what does your team of coaches look like right now? Like between the dietitian, the striking, the jiu-jitsu, you come to open mat at our place sometimes. So there's another coach there. Like how many people are actually in your world that are pouring into you to get this finished, polished product of a UFC fighter?
It takes a full village to raise an athlete for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you tell us some of the people that are in that village?
So Mateus Nakash right now is my striking coach. And then I just hired Alex Perez as my wrestling coach. And then I have Jiva Santana, Mr. Arm Collector, who has given me my black belt in jiu-jitsu. And he always comes and corners me. And then I have Alex at the Performance Institute as like my strength and conditioning coach. And then we have the PT team. And then I have Charles, who is known as the angry dietitian. And
nice.
He's my dietitian. So, I'll ask him like, hey, how much am I running today? How much am I doing the sauna? Like, what does that look like for the week, right? So like he's keeping track of that. I mean, I'm trying to think, but it's like, it is like a lot of people, right? To like, that I have to check in with every single day. that I'm doing things. And then I have my like outside teammates too, right? Like I go and train with Tammy Musamechi often, like several times a week, and Mikey Musamechi. And then I come over to you guys at 10th Planet and like I hit the open mats, right? And like I might hop over to Hybrid and like catch a class over there. Like I'm doing the most and I'm doing all of these things. And like nobody sees everything that I do, but I know what I'm doing.
Right.
And I keep myself accountable, because if I cheat anywhere, if I'm half-assing anything, I'm only half-assing myself. And fighting is the most honest thing that any person can ever do, because it shows up in the cage. There's no hiding from the facts. Did you do the fucking work or not?
Yeah. There's no teammate to be like, well, he wasn't passing the ball tonight, so I didn't get the score. It's like, no, it's just you and your mitts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man, what is that feeling like when you walk into a ring? And I mean, you've fought at some events where there's 15,000 people there, and the emotions of cutting weight and going there. And it's like, it's simultaneously, that's like a potential fight to the death, and it's the way that you earn your money, and you don't want to let your coaches down, and there's a crowd. Like, are you past that in your mind, or is there just still this weird adrenaline rush when you're walking out or warming up? Or like, walk us through like a fight day, because that just seems like the weirdest thing. Like, I don't have to put a loan file together in front of 15,000 people who are like criticizing my every mistake, right? But like, if something goes wrong, like there's 15,000 people and 500,000 that watched it on pay-per-view. So can you walk us through a fight day and like what that looks like as far as like the day you fight, and then maybe what some of the emotions are?
Yeah, it's so hard to explain. You know, like there's no feeling that's like it. There's no replication of this, right? Because if there was, then we'd all be trying to like, you know, find the magic answer and train for these moments. There's no training for these moments. You're either a fucking star or you crumble under the lights. Like, and you don't find out until you fucking find out, right? And that's insane. Like, that's so crazy. Like, you put in all of this work, but if you don't perform on that fucking day, like, it sucks. But you're nervous as shit. Like you said, you know, you're getting ready to go out there to battle, right? Like, somebody is trying to cause bodily harm to who you are as a person. They're trying to hurt your fucking legacy. They're trying to, like, rub mud on your name. Like, they want to hurt you. And it's your job to hurt them before they hurt you. And it's the referee's job to try to stop it. I think I'm nervous. The referee's fucking nervous. What if he makes a bad call? The ring girl's fucking nervous. What if I trip on the step? The guy that needs to lock the cage door is fucking nervous. What if I don't lock the fucking door and they fly through the cage? Like,
I've seen that happen, by the way.
Exactly. Everybody's fucking nervous. The cameraman is fucking nervous. You know, like, everybody's nervous. This is a big deal. And this is the moment that every single person that is in that room has worked towards for their whole fucking life, has led them to that moment right there. And It's huge and it's major, and everybody's trying to impress Uncle Dana.
Oh man. Like, this is a weird question. What do you eat the day of a fight, right? Because it's like, how do you not puke walking out to the mat, right? It's like, obviously, walk me through the weigh-in day, because I've heard that now you guys weigh in the morning, and then they do the ceremonial weight, and then you fight like 24 hours later. Like, what does that 48 hours before a fight look like?
I don't even know how to describe it to you, you know, because it's like you just cut all of this weight, and now, like,
are you like almost delirious?
You're relieved. That's the first job. Job number one is make the fucking weight. You know?
And what time do you normally weigh in?
Job number two is the fun part. Right. Like, fighting's the fucking fun part, you know? Yeah, making weight's the part where you're like, fuck, I hope I fucking make it. Oh my God. Like, oh, I gotta do this shit.
Are you like in a sauna with a sleeping bag just sweating your balls off? Or
forever.
For you, it'd be
for an eternity. Yes.
Oh.
Yes. But then you get to eat all the food, so that's nice.
Okay, so you weigh in the morning, you start to like rehydrate and weigh in the food. There's got to be a science to that, right? Too, because
Oh yeah, there's a deep science to it. Yes.
So explain that. Like, you've just cut. No, okay. So you've just cut 30 pounds.
Yeah.
And there's a science to rehydrating your body and all that fun stuff. And then it's fight day. Like, do you just sleep in and cuddle with your dogs, or like?
I mean, I feel like you're different. Like, everybody changes a little bit when you're getting ready to fight somebody.
Yeah.
Like, the normal, like, cutesy little shit that you do, that shit ain't flying on a fucking fight day, dude. Like, it's war. It's time to go to fucking battle, you know? And everybody wants to be so relaxed, right? Everyone's like, man, like, I just, you know, it's just another day. Yo, if it's just another fucking day to you, this shit, I'm about to eat you for dinner.
Right,
like, you know, like, because this shit is life for me. Like, you don't want to be so fucking calm that your nervous system doesn't fire. You know, like this is real. This shit's fucking real. Like this is not a game. Like we're not playing jiu-jitsu in here. Like we're fucking fighting each other. Yeah. This is war. I don't know how to explain that shit. You know, like there is no explanation for it. Like if you ask a fucking soldier, what is it like being in the middle of Iraq trying to shoot somebody that's trying to shoot you? You know, like that shit's not a game. Like that's not just like another day to them. Like even though if you are in war, like you're doing that every single day, like your nervous system is fucking maxed out, you know, like you got to go out there. Like this is serious business. Yeah. This is my whole life laying on these 15 minutes out here.
Do you have, cause the fight's 15 minutes, right? And you get there a couple hours early and you're warming up for it. Are there's like these mental ebbs and flows where you're like, nerves are on. Okay. I got to meditate and calm down. I got to get ready to get in the ring. Or is it just like, you're like, I'm ready to redline as soon as I walk into the arena?
I think anybody who redlines the minute that they walk into the arena, like, probably not going to be a fun fight.
they're just all burnt out. There's what is it? The sympathetic nerve system shot.
Yeah, you're going to be fucking exhausted. But I have seen people who do that. You know, like that's not necessarily my style. But I have seen people like they're just like on fucking edge the whole time, and I see them walking out, and I can always tell who's like kind of going to win when they walk out, you know, because it's like, ooh, they're not in the space. They're not in the space, and they'll find a way to fucking dig. But like, yeah, like they're not in their flow state. Like they're not vibing. Like they're just, you know, like it's too much for them. And you can tell when people are going to buckle.
Yeah. When you're in the cage, right, and the bell rings and now the shit is real. I mean, you know, the shit is real leading up to that. But as soon as the bell rings, it gets really real. Can you hear the crowd, see the crowd?
Yes.
Can you hear advice from your coach?
Yes.
Like what can you focus on and what are you just tuning out because you're focused on this bitch that's trying to kill you and you're trying to kill her?
Not
that I think any UFC fighters are bitches, but
I'm in it. I call them bitches too. And I'm like, I don't even hate you. I just, you know, I call my best friends bitches. So I don't know if I'm an anomaly because I hear that this isn't normal. But for me, I hear everybody in the crowd. I hear the commentators. I hear the referee. I hear the people fucking having conversations. I hear my coaches. I hear her coaches. I hear everybody. Like there's been times where like I forget who the fuck I was fighting, but their coach was giving them instruction and then I did what the instruction was and they were like, no, not you.
They're like left hook. And you're like, wham. Yeah. And they're like, no, wrong girl.
No, not you.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, it was fucking great.
And then regardless of how tired you are.
Yeah, that's good advice. Yeah, I'm going to take that.
Regardless of how much you've trained and how tired you are or if the weight cut was hard or just one of these brutal 5-round fights, what happens when you win? Like, what's the adrenaline dump when you win?
It's a good feeling. You know, it's kind of like when DC walked in and I was like fucking shooketh because I was like, oh my God, it's fucking DC. Or when Joe Rogan walks in, I'm like, oh, it's Joe Rogan. Oh my God, it's Joe Rogan. Like,
by the way, this is where we need to interject that famous scene of you like jumping into Joe Rogan's arms.
Yeah.
Can you walk us through the end of that fight and how pumped you were?
Yeah. So, okay, that specific fight, I actually got knocked the fuck out, right? So I'm completely unconscious and I'm still fighting. Unconscious, right? Because that's how much jiu-jitsu I've done. I fall asleep thinking about jiu-jitsu. Like it's how I meditate, right? So I'm on the fucking canvas and I armbar this chick, right? Out of nowhere. Like,
so wait, did you get stuck in a triangle or did you get punched? Like, what do you mean you were unconscious?
She punched me with a fucking hook from yesterday, dude. Like I got hit by a truck and I wail to the floor. Boom, I'm out. I'm gone. Not even fucking there, dude. She's ground and pounding me. And then I attain the guard, right? Like she's inside control, hitting me. And I go into guard. Now just I got her.
All instinctually.
Complete autopilot. I'm not even alive. And then I remember like I just remember waking up and I had her like, I was like grabbing her and I was like, fuck, how did I get here? Did I take her down? Did she take me down? I was like, fuck, I don't know, but I got an arm bar and I took the arm bar. And then it's like, I finished the fight and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe that fucking happened. I won a 50K bonus for that shit, by the way. And then I'm just like talking to my coach how excited I am. And then Joe Rogan comes up behind me and I just couldn't fucking believe it. I was like, oh my God, it's Joe Rogan. Yo, it's good to meet you, dude. I fucking dabbed him up so hard. And then I jumped into his arms. And that was like the most viral thing on the internet for a whole week.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was super cool.
When I first met you, I was like, man, this girl looks familiar. I don't know I don't know where I've seen her. And then when we got to know each other, I looked up your Instagram and there it is. I'm like, oh, of course I know her. She's that girl.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. You're that girl. And talk about that instinctual nature, right? Because like you said, you were basically knocked the fuck out.
Yeah.
How many hours, if you had to guess, of jiu-jitsu do you think you've done to get into that instinctual position where you're still getting punched in your face and you're like, oh no, but I have an armbar here?
Yeah, it's countless. I mean, I used to do jiu-jitsu 3 times a day, every single fucking day. Like, only once on the weekends, but I never took a day off. And I mean, I did that for years.
Oh man, that's killer. You mentioned that you got the fight bonus for that fight. Mm-hmm. Can you explain and you don't have to give us the numbers of what you get paid, but can you give us the show win bonus situation?
Well, I can tell you at that specific time.
Okay.
At that time, I was on my first fight contract.
Okay.
And so I was getting paid, I believe, $15 to show up.
$15,000 just to show up and fight.
You make weight, you're getting paid $15,000, right? And then 15 to show, 15 to win, $15K to win. So that's a win bonus. And then Dana is so kind that he gives out performance of the night bonuses, and he gives out 1 fight of the night bonus on the different cards. So I won a performance of the night bonus because I got knocked out, and then I fucking armbarred her. And Dana was just, he's
amazed.
just cool. He's just cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And so your income for that one fight went from $15,000 to $80,000 for winning and getting the fight night or bonus fight night.
That's
fight
right.
of the night bonus. Sorry,
That's
I can't
right.
speak English.
Yeah, that's right.
How does that feel?
Fucking crazy. Yeah, because at that time, I had just quit stripping 4 weeks prior. I had just quit stripping. And I remember writing on my whiteboard that was in my bedroom, the money is costing me. Like, yeah. Like, it was crazy. Yeah.
Oh, that's insane. And
like, I remember trying to get ready for work, and I couldn't fucking do it, man. Like, I just didn't have the energy. Like, I put on my makeup, and I was like, I fucking can't. And I just had to quit. I didn't have the money to quit. My bank account was empty at that moment, and I was like, fuck it. Hopefully a sponsor comes through and I can at least make it to the fight. And somebody did come through, and shout out to you fucking sponsors, man. Like, if you ever want to help an athlete out, do it. Like, they need you. Some of them really fucking need you. So a sponsor came through. I made it to the fight, and I didn't have no money in my bank account. And then boom, you make like however much you said, like $85,000 overnight.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And give a shout out to your sponsors now. Who sponsors you now?
Presidential Cannabis sponsors me. Strongest in the world. Yes. And I have Dialed Modes. So that's an energy drink company that sponsors me. It's healthy energy drink. So we can actually drink them.
I'll have to get a case of those.
Yeah.
So there we go. Sponsorship working on the spot. How important is that sponsorship money to fighters? Because, a good fighter like yourself will fight maybe twice a year, maybe 3 times.
Yeah.
So, maybe you're whatever, 50 to 100 to 200 grand or something like that, depending on wins and contracts and fight of the night. Obviously, people see the big contracts for the Conor McGregors and the John Jones, and they're making big boy money because they're a huge draw. But your average undercard fight is, those fighters are probably living on 100 to 200 grand a year. How important are the sponsors just for like your mental health of being able to pay the bills, pay the trainers, just live life?
They are everything to us. Like, we need them, to have stability. Right. And I mean, even they aren't always stable, like, because you'll get like a few months of a contract. Yeah. And then it's like, oh, okay. Like, thank you very much. Like, I really, really, like, I genuinely appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. And I wish I could do more for them. Right. Like, I try to do as much as I can for them. But yeah, like, it's such a blessing when other companies, have built themselves up enough that they're like, we can help other people that are up and coming. Like, it is a blessing.
Yeah. And how does that work for you, the people that are up and coming, right? Like, because you probably have your training partners, right? If you walk into open mat, like if we didn't know each other, you can't roll with a 200-pound guy because your body is the product. Like, I'll
still fuck you up.
Yeah, no, I know you will. But it's like you can't risk rolling with some spazzy 200-pound blue belt guy because you could get injured, right? And that could take away your ability to earn a livelihood. So, like, how do you pick training partners? What is, like, your camp or your team? I don't even know if I'm using the correct terminology. Your team, or what does that look like? Like, who do you trust to go hard with where you also know you're not going to get injured or cut up, and then you won't be able to fight, the next time the fight comes around?
I'll definitely say that, like, when it comes to training with new people, I cannot have a fucking ego. I fucking can't, right? Because if I go with a spazzy blue belt and they're just going crazy, because here's the thing, I'm a chick, right? And I'm a black belt. So, and I'm a UFC fighter. So anytime I roll with somebody new that doesn't know me, in their mind, it's like the fucking world's to them.
Yeah, it's their Super Bowl.
It's their Super Bowl, where to me, I'm just trying to get some fucking training in, right? Like,
Right.
I'm just trying to go to yoga a little bit, just jiu-jitsu yoga. Yeah, where to them, it's like, that's the day. So if I notice that somebody's just like being extra, I either have to literally stop the fucking roll, right? If they're being too much, or just tap a bunch, right? Because I'm not going to injure myself because you don't want to give something up, And I also don't want to break your fucking legs because you choose not to tap. Right. So I have to just put my ego aside and just be like, all right, like they're just, that's how they want to fucking be, and I won't train with them again. So I can kind of like see, like, if I'm training with somebody, they're going hard, they're giving me a challenge, I'm giving them a challenge, but we're both being respectful. I'm like, all right, bet. Like, I like that. And then, like, I'll put them, like, in the little memory bank. Like, I can train with them again, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about respect,
What's, like, your favorite kind of training partner, either in sparring or jiu-jitsu? Is it a similar-sized girl, a slightly larger guy, some giant dude? Like, where do you get the best work?
I used to hate training with girls.
Really?
And now I fucking love it. Yeah.
Tell me more.
So I used to only train with dudes, like, especially girls, especially if they're my fucking weight class. I'm like, man, like, we might fight each other. Like, I got trust issues. Like, you might try to hurt me to, one up on some shit. And I just would only, like, want to train with men. And also, when I was up and coming, girls weren't as tough as they are today. Like, I feel like the female thing has really come to life. But again, I've been training for 14 years.
Yeah.
So when I first started, there weren't a lot of females to even train with.
Right. This is like 14 years ago is like very early Ronda Rousey, Misha Tate.
They weren't even thing yet.
Oh, they weren't even thing.
Yeah, there was nobody to look up to. There was Chris Cyborg and Gina Carano.
Yeah, but I don't. Yeah,
but that's how long ago it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there was not a stable of tough gals that could give you a black belt level roll or get in there and spar like a real Golden Gloves boxer. Like, that just wasn't a thing 15 years ago for women, right?
Right. And if you found one, then, like, you didn't want to train with her because, like, you might have to compete with her,
Yeah. So at the PI, are there some weird, like, gym politics about that, right? Because you might be working out right next to somebody who you got to fight one day, or you might have to fight in 8 weeks.
Mm-hmm. So now, because we're at the Apex, this is why I love training with girls now, because, like, there's so many of us, and we all get along so great. And, like, we've kind of, like, built a little team around being at the PI, and I freaking love it. Like, Pauliana Viana right now, like, she's getting ready to fight somebody, and she and I sparred a lot for my camp, and now I get to help her for her camp. And we're probably not going to fight each other anytime soon. And there's, like, other girls where, like, we've kind of had the conversation, like, well, what if we fight each other? And it's like, okay, then we fight each other. Like, but at least now we know ahead of time that could potentially be an option. And it sucks. Like, I don't want to have to fight my friends, but it's also, like, what the UFC wants. And we saw that with Merab versus Aljamain.
Yeah.
And I feel like they had a very special and deep connection with each other. And I super respected that they refused to fight each other.
Yeah. Can you explain that real quick for people that are maybe just novice UFC fans?
Yes. So Aljamain Sterling was the UFC champion in the bantamweight division. And his best training partner is Merab Dvalishvili. Oh, I hope I got his name right.
I hope so too. Yeah.
And he's currently the bantamweight champion, right?
Yeah.
So Aljamain was the champion before, and they refused to fight each other because, and Merab was the next person in line, and he's like, for a long time. And he's like, I'm going to wait. I'm not in a hurry, and I don't want to fight my friend. Like,
because they were like in the same training camp, same coaches, same everything.
They were in each other's corners.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they love each other. Like, they freaking bought houses across the street from each other.
Yeah.
Like, they're best friends, And it's just such a beautiful friendship. And the UFC really wanted them to fight, and they just said that they wouldn't. So eventually Aljamain moved up to a weight class, to featherweight, and now Rob gets to be the champion at bantamweight, and it's just so beautiful.
That's awesome, man.
But going back to fighting your friends. So now it's like, I don't have such a close friendship with anybody. I mean, maybe Pauliana now, but like the UFC, I feel like they know. If you're not in the top 5, they can kind of work their way around who you're fighting.
Right.
Once you get to the top 5, though, it's like you kind of got to fight each other.
You got to fight who you're going to fight.
Yeah, but I mean, that's so far away on our vision boards. So it's like we can train together right now.
Nice. You know, my first love is boxing. I was a boxing fan my entire life, and I boxed for 10 years before my wife was like, at 40, maybe stop getting punched in the head. I don't know. You're already dumb enough. You don't need any more brain damage.
Oh my goodness.
So I was like, okay, well, I'll try this thing jiu-jitsu, right? So I didn't start till I was 41, and which is way too late to start jiu-jitsu. But anyway, I digress. When I used to watch boxing, I loved when people hated each other. When you could tell in the pre-fight conference that they genuinely hate each other, I'm like, this is going to be a great match because they're going to try to rip each other's heads off. And then sometimes when they were friends and they were kind of pitter-patting or they touch gloves at the beginning of like all 10 rounds, I'm like, no, go try to kill each other. So like for you, would you prefer to fight somebody who you do have a relationship or some history with? Would you prefer to fight somebody who is a nobody in your mind? I mean, not a nobody in the fight game, but just they're a nobody in your mind. Or would you prefer to fight somebody that you have some bad blood with?
I think I don't give a fuck.
Exactly the answer I expected.
Yeah, like I think I don't fucking care. In fact, I think if I had bad blood with somebody, it'd almost be worse. You know, like, because I just like I said, that whole like fucking like your nervous system and tension and everything, like It's not like awesome for you to be fucking high revved all the time. And I just like, there's not many people that I hate, but if you're on that fucking list, fuck off. You know? Anyways, I digress. I punch my friends in the face really fucking hard in the gym. You know? Like, we go to fucking war. And I feel like the closer we are, like, the more friendly we are with each other, like, the more we love each other, the more we beat the shit out of each other.
Really?
Hell yeah. Yo, you train the hardest with your best training partners, don't you?
Yeah,
Don't you love them the most?
Yeah.
Hey.
But I'll tell you, I have the absolute pleasure of every morning learning from Tom Lawler. He comes to the 6 a.m. class with all the other old guys, and I get to roll with them. And it's like once in a blue moon, I'll feel like I'm doing something good, and I'll get a little sassy. And then that red in his eyes comes out, and I see the former UFC fighter, and I'm like, oh, God. Thank God I don't have to ever fight this guy for real. Because like I get in a lot of good work and he gives me a lot of coaching on the side. We become good friends. But I would never want to have to fight him in real life. Like that would be terrifying. And you're like, no, I get in there with my friends every day and go hard.
Yeah. Like that's like a part of my morning. I'm like, ooh, I get to go punch my friends in the face. Like it's great. I love it.
It takes a real special person to be in the UFC. So can you talk to us about kind of where you're at right now in the rankings? You mentioned top 5s on the vision board, obviously. Like nobody's in the UFC to not try to become a champion.
Some people are.
Really? Explain that.
I get interviewed often, obviously. And one of the like main interview guys, he's always like, so, do you see yourself ever wanting to become champion? Or are you okay with just like collecting a paycheck? And I'm like, are people okay with just collecting a paycheck? He's like, yeah, a lot of them actually. They're just here to fight. I'm like, that's fucking crazy. I'm like, no, I want to beat some ass and move my way up the rankings. Like, I don't want to fucking do something and not be the best.
Yeah.
Like, I'm literally one of the best athletes in the world. Like, why wouldn't I want to get the accolade for it?
Right.
What the fuck? That's crazy. This is such an insane fucking job. I'm not just going out there for a paycheck. I'm going out there to fucking hurt somebody. Like, I didn't start this for a paycheck. I'm not ending it that way.
So what you're telling me is there's fighters and then there's like fighters.
Yeah.
So what does that path look like? And I don't know if you want to talk about it, but I know you just took an unfortunate loss, little controversial, got caught in something. If you don't want to talk about it, that's cool. If you want to talk about it, that's cool too.
Yeah, fuck that bitch. Fuck that. Fuck that commissioner. Fuck everybody, dude. Fuck that shit.
So for context, tell people what happened.
I'll tell you what happened. What happened was, no, I was fighting a amazing jiu-jitsu chick, right? Like we knew that this girl had fucking awesome jiu-jitsu. And she takes me down almost immediately. I broke her fucking nose on the way down. I don't know if I actually broke it, but her shit was bleeding really good all over my clothes. And I was wearing white. It was crazy looking when I walked out. So she has me on the ground and she's trying to out-grapple me. And she's not being able to hold position because obviously I'm also an accredited black belt. So I'm moving through the positions well. She gets my back. I start to turn into her. And as I'm turning in, She grabs the inside of my glove, stopping my full rotation because I was about to make it into her guard. Now, if you guys don't understand jiu-jitsu, I apologize, but this is what happened. She grabs my glove, and that is an illegal foul. Not only did the referee choose not to see it, he also chose not to hear me as I'm screaming, she's in my glove, she's in my glove. She chooses to hold on to the glove long enough, this was over 10 seconds, mind you, that she gets her leg over my face, securing the armbar position. And then I needed to tap or allow my arm to break. Those were the options.
Yeah, it happens.
And it was disheartening to me, not because I felt like I fucking lost, because I felt like I got fucking cheated, right? And that shit sucks. Like, it's one thing to lose. I've lost before. I've never been cheated like this. Right. And that is a different feeling, And I felt like I was really let down by the commissioner, by the referee, who said that he just didn't see it. Because I'm like, how did you not see it?
Yeah, the glove's front and center, like top of both of your bodies.
Literally. ESPN was able to just zoom in on that in slow motion, So not only are you blind, but you're also deaf.
Right.
So that was really painful to me.
Yeah, because
I understand she's going to cheat.
Right.
But the ref, come on, bro.
They got to catch it. Yeah, because the thing is, it's not like boxing where Mayweather set this weird precedent of being undefeated. There is no MMA fighter who's undefeated. It's just like, maybe Khabib. Okay, maybe there's two. But for the most part, like, anything can happen in there. People take their losses and they come back and they start climbing the rankings. And it's like, I'm not saying it's fine. I'm not saying we want to accept a loss.
No.
But I think a loss in MMA is much more acceptable. You can be 18-0 in boxing, and if you lose a fight, you're off the path for like a title shot forever, probably. But in MMA, it's not like that at all, right? Everybody's kind of taking their licks and taking their losses. So where does this put you for like the next fight? I know you're still under contract. Like, how does that work? Do you have to like, do you have a manager?
I do.
So does your manager like jockey for fights or try to get a rematch, or like how does all of that work? Or does Dana really just like pick out of a hat, roll the dice, and see who he wants to have on the next card?
No, absolutely not. That's not how that works. You will tell your manager, like, hey, I'm ready, I'm healthy, and I'm mentally prepared to be in camp.
Oh, see, there's my phone telling me, this is how old I am. That's my 8 o'clock alarm telling me to take my nightly vitamins and go to bed.
Ooh.
So I'm staying up late for the lovely Vanessa.
Yes.
Okay.
I get more time.
Yes. So, yeah, okay, so your manager will check in with you.
So you'll tell your manager, like, listen, I'm healthy. I'm ready to get right back in there, or I'm ready to get in there in general, right? Because, like, some fighters only want to fight once a year.
Yeah.
I like to be active, right? Yeah. I want to fight like 3-4 times a year. So even right now that I just stepped out of the cage and I'm still healthy and I'm still helping Pauliana for her training camp. So I'm, like, ready. Right? I'm like, I'm going to stay skinny. I'm still in great shape. I'm not going to lose my shape. Like, I'm going to keep my cardio high.
You didn't get beat up in the fight. You don't have any cuts or anything like that to heal. Nothing.
Nothing. So I'm like,
kind
fuck
of a fluke loss.
Like,
You could fight in 3 weeks.
I'm ready. Yeah. So at this current moment, I'm personally staying ready for a last minute fight. And I told my manager, like, hey, if anything pops up, like, give me the call because I'm in it.
Nice. And, the only world of management that I know is boxing, because I used to have a small boxing gym that people would use when they were in LA for like photo shoots and stuff. And that is the shadiest industry and I work in finance, which is a pretty shady industry. And like boxing managers are, to me, the fucking scum of the earth. So obviously you're with your manager for a reason. Tell us a little bit about that relationship, why you have a manager, why fighters might choose to not have a manager. Like, can you talk about that?
Yeah, I think that fighters that don't have a manager, it's like kind of wild, like how are you going to petition for yourself, right?
Right.
Because like my manager is the number one, the reason why I'm even in the UFC. Like he's the one that like got me in the UFC,
Awesome.
Yeah, like I mean, I didn't have those connections. And then number two, like my manager is the one who like gets me my contracts and like gets me paid more money and like make sure that like he's batting for me. And it's like I just can't imagine life without him. He's the reason why I bought a house.
Right.
And that you helped me with. Like, he's the reason why, like, I take the guidance from him. And he's such a good human.
Are you comfortable talking about who your manager is?
Jason House.
Okay, perfect.
I love him. I love Jason House.
Yeah, I didn't want to violate any trust there or anything, or wasn't sure.
Guy.
Yeah, Jason is awesome, man. And what I appreciate about Jason as a financial individual, and this is how I know all UFC managers are scum, is like he really gives a fuck about Vanessa post-fight game.
He loves me.
Yeah.
And I love him as a human, like as a fucking person.
Yeah.
Like, I love that guy.
I had breakfast with him, and he's like, hey, man, you came highly recommended from Joe Benavides, a realtor we know who used to also be in the fight game and is really passionate about helping fighters build some wealth before they get out of the fight game. And Jason's just like, hey, you came highly recommended. I don't need to vet you, but I just need to know that, like, you're passionate about getting these fighters into houses and then a rental property and then another rental property, because they've got to have equity and rental income and wealth when they get out of the fight game. Because there is that transition where, at some point down the road, you might not know what you want to do. There might not be a broadcaster job available right away. Like, you've got to have some money. You've got to have a nest egg. You've got to have some cash flowing properties. And Jason's super passionate about that. And when he said that, I was like, oh, this is my guy. Like, what a great referral relationship, because he genuinely cares about his people more than just looking at them as a paycheck. So shout out to Jason House and Iridium Management.
Yeah, absolutely. 1,000,000%. Like, I love that guy so much. And like you said, like, he cares about us. Like, win, lose, draw. But I mean, when we lose, he loses. Like, I feel like he really feels that shit. Like, he really cares. I've sat next to Jason when some of his athletes have been fighting, like on Contender Series or UFC, and like, he cares. And I don't know how that man does it when he's got two people fighting each other,
Oh.
Because one's got to win, one's got to lose.
Yeah.
Like, that sucks, because like, he cares.
Yeah.
I know he does. I've seen him care.
Right. Right.
Which is so cool, because some people don't care. To some people, we're just a paycheck. To all the fucking people betting online sometimes, like, we're just a number to them. Like,
yeah,
you better win. I'm like, I'll do my best. Like, what the fuck do you think?
Do you ever have some crazy fan come up to you and be like, I got $1,000 on you this week. You better win. You want to win, right? And it's like, yeah, I care more about me than your $1,000. Like, do you ever get some weirdness like that from fans?
Do I ever? All the fucking time.
Really?
Literally. Like, that's the whole flood of my DMs on Fight Week. I put this much money on you. You better go out there and do something with it. I put my rent money on you. I'm like, fuck, don't do that. Like, yeah.
You must get some weird shit in your DMs.
No. Not as much as you think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. My DMs are pretty clean.
Okay.
Like, I know some girls who get some fucking weird shit. Like,
yeah.
I feel like my personality online, which is the same in person. Like,
right. You are definitely the same person all the time.
I love that. But like, I have such a good, heartfelt community of people. Like, when I post a picture, like, it's good vibes, like in my DMs, it's good fucking vibes.
You don't get a lot of creepers or anything like that?
I really don't. And I also am so quick to hit the block button.
Yeah.
Like, I will block a motherfucker. Like, yo, you want to see feet? Block. Like, yeah, I just block people. So I mean,
how much are they paying for the feet?
Listen,
feet seems like that could be in the stripper Bible of not violation.
My daddy told me to not break my moral code, and when I walked away from being a stripper, I walked away from all that. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. There's that answer.
I really don't understand the feet thing. Like, guys that pay money. I interviewed a gal who has an OnlyFans account, and we had a wild interview. Again, this whole podcast not safe for work. But she's like, I have this guy that sends me a pee-pee picture every day, and he gives me $50 to $100 every day just to insult his junk.
Yep.
And I'm like, that's a thing? And
she had pigs. Yeah.
She had pay pigs, findom, financial dominance.
Yeah.
I had to learn about all this stuff, and I was like, I'm a family man. I was not equipped for this podcast. Like, I'm like trying to get kids to school on time. Like, I don't know anything about the findom world. So I'm glad your DMs are like clean and you've got good positive vibes.
Yes.
You just referred to your fans or the people on your Instagram as a community. Yeah. Is that how it feels?
To me, I love my people. I really do. I tell them all the time. I'm like, I really love you guys. Like, and I genuinely do. Like, if it wasn't for my community, I wouldn't be able to do what I do, Like, people need to be able to watch your fights for the UFC to care about you, right? Like, it's an entertainment business at the end of the day. And for me, like, I care about my fans, right?
Yeah.
Like, I care about their mental health. Like, I care about the energy that I'm spreading. Like, I care about the little girl that's watching my page. And that part freaks me out a lot, you know, because I have like mini fans and they love me so much. And like, they'll send me pictures of like me and they're like, I love you. I can't wait to meet you one day. And I'm like, don't look at the picture where I was twerking. Like,
right. Not safe for work post.
Yeah. And I really do care about my fans a lot.
So, you know, what's funny is my daughter didn't put 2 and 2 together when you came over to her house, because you're dressed professionally. Like, she's only 6. In her mind, she didn't conceptualize that you are this UFC fighter and you are now this person that was just here at our house for dinner. So she didn't get it, but I was kind of giggling because about a year and a half ago, when my daughter started to take jiu-jitsu seriously and she wasn't there for more than just social hour, we watched one of your fights. We had a big barbecue here. You were one of the undercard fights we're watching. And Alina is just in front of the TV, absolutely transfixed. And she's like, Dad, they fight on TV? And I'm like, yeah, that's what Vanessa does for a living. She fights other girls for money. And she's like, wait, you pay for us to go to jiu-jitsu? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, you mean I could get paid to do jiu-jitsu?
Yeah.
And I saw the light bulb going off where I'm like, oh God, did I just create like a future UFC fighter for myself? Because she was so mesmerized by you in the ring that like you were a girl and you could fight for money. So I got to imagine there's like a whole generation of girls that look up to girls like you. There are, and it is the sweetest thing ever. And I'm just like, you can do it. Just don't give up. Like, I promise. I know that you can, because I did it, and nobody believed in me. And yeah, except for yourself.
Yeah, I believed in me. Yeah.
And some of those coaches.
A lot of those coaches believed in me more than I believed in myself.
Yeah.
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 So yes.
And how good has like the UFC brand been for you? Like I know the answer to this question, but I think some people watching are like, well, aren't there like other leagues? Or I've seen people fight MMA versus UFC. Like how much opportunity for sponsorship or growth of the fan base and the community, how much of that has come since you got into the UFC 3 years ago? Because you got 4 fights in the UFC now?
4? I've had 8.
8? Holy shit. Okay.
Yeah.
So you've had 8 fights in the UFC and you've got at least a dozen more coming, I'm sure.
Of course.
Like, how big has that been for you?
Life-changing. I love being a UFC fighter. And yeah, there are other organizations out there, but none of them are like the UFC. You know, I feel like I can actually impact people's lives because of what I do inside of the ring, right? Because people care and they watch UFC. UFC is the biggest fighting organization in the world. It's at the absolute best. And it's the one that's going to stick around, you know? And I just feel so honored to be an athlete in the UFC, right?
I didn't want to ruin your lungs, so this podcast is brought to you by Zyn. I'm doing a bunch of these nicotine pouches, which is probably not good for me. I didn't want to blow smoke all over you and ruin your lungs just in case you get the short-term call here for the fight. Be like, I can't take a fight. I smoked a secondhand cigar last night. I'm dying. But sorry about that. So it's been life-changing for you, and I know you've got a lot of fights left, and I know you're working towards...
Oh, and everybody wants to pick me up.
Wait, say that?
Yeah, everyone wants to pick me up. So, like, I'll take pictures with fans, and they're always like, can I pick you up? And I'm like, yes!
Oh, because of the Joe Rogan thing.
Yeah. So I've jumped into Joe Rogan's arms, Michael Bisping twice, DC. So it's like, it's just super cool, you know, and I'm just always so fucking excited.
I love that.
And Paul Felder.
I love that your brand is like, I like to jump into your arms. This is so cool. I love my fans.
Yeah. I love it. Like when I see them, like I give them the biggest hugs, like most of the time, you know, and they're not too drunk. And I'm always like, just please don't drop me if you're going to pick me up. Like,
yes.
Hey, I'm wearing a dress today. Probably not a good idea. Like,
they're like, got shorts on under there. So I know you've got a lot of fights left and like, we got to get into the top 5 and then you got to win a championship and whatnot. What happens post-fighting? Like, have you give that any thoughts, or are you just like solely and singularly focused on fighting?
I'm going to be a public speaker, and I'm going to help to impact millions of people's lives through my story of overcoming and becoming.
That was very specific.
I know my path.
Tell me more.
Well, my whole life, I've just always really felt this calling to help people, you know, and I've needed to lean on speakers myself growing up. You know, I went through like a lot of different depressions and a lot of deep holes. And the only way that I got out of them was by reaching to people that I didn't even fucking know, right? But I could see them on YouTube or like MySpace or whatever. And I just would like watch their videos. And I was like that's the reason why I'm still here today, you know? And I just really felt this calling from God, like in my heart, in like the pit of my soul, that like one day I need to be able to open up my mouth and to open my voice and to help other people accomplish things in their life, you know, because I'm still here.
Holy shit. I was not expecting that kind of prepared answer. I thought you were going to be like, I don't know, we'll see what the future holds. And you hit me with like some actual life stuff.
Yeah.
Holy cow. So how do you think about transitioning into that, right? Because like I know some public speaking events you could get right now as an active UFC fighter to tell that story. Are you working on your craft now? Is that why you agreed to do like a small podcast like mine because you're working on your public speaking? Or like, how are you training for that? Because obviously I know how seriously you take your fight training. So I can only imagine like your other stage training for a public speaking stage. Like, what are you doing to work on that?
I'm a broadcaster. So I do reporting. I used to work as a fight analyst for UFC Fight Pass, pre and post show for UFC's pay-per-view events. I was actually there live in person doing broadcasting, right? So I do have a lot of like on the mic experience. I do commentating for jiu-jitsu events all around the world. They've flown me to Abu Dhabi and Brazil and Mexico to like commentate for jiu-jitsu and for like MMA. So, you know, I've been a reporter. I care.
Yeah, you're like a weather girl who can kick ass.
Fuck yeah.
I mean, seriously, I'm not saying this just because you're here and you're my friend, but it's like you are a good speaker. You've got the look. You've got the experience. There's not a lot of like articulate, pretty girls who have a fight background who can like properly commentate on a black belt level. Like you have this like Venn diagram of skills that really sets you up well for that, right?
Thank you. Thank you.
So what was the event that you commentated on in Abu Dhabi? Like tell us some of the things that you've done in that broadcasting world.
Yeah, so I commentate for a jiu-jitsu event called not the UAE JJF. I actually competed in the UAE JJF, sorry. ADXC. So it's Abu Dhabi Extreme Championship, right? Okay. And it's a jiu-jitsu event that happens in a cage. They do gi and no gi in a cage. So then that way there's no stop in the action. Right? Because what happens in jiu-jitsu, if you roll close to the edge of the mat, they're like, stop.
It's so annoying.
Right. And then it's like the position kind of changes a little fucking bit, which makes a huge difference.
Right.
So, yeah, so this is in a cage setting and it's really fucking awesome. So they've done that there in Abu Dhabi. They've done that in Brazil. I've also commentated for the EBIs.
Yeah.
And the female and the male ones. So, and that usually happens in Mexico.
Yeah.
Which is fucking awesome.
Dude, I want to go to Cancun this winter so bad and do like that 7-day camp where they're doing seminars, then jiu-jitsu, then the evening fights. I know, I'm trying to talk the wife into it. I'm like, hey, honey, you want to go on vacation to Mexico? She's like, hell yeah. I'm like, to watch me do jiu-jitsu for 3 hours a day? She's like, hell no. I'm like, but you can sit at the pool, you go to the spa, get your spa day every day.
So it's at a resort.
Yeah, it's at a resort.
It's at Planet Hollywood.
Yeah, I'm working on it. I think I'm about 80% of the way there.
Go.
Okay, let's do it. Let's do it. I'm trying to get some of the guys from the gym to go too, and their girlfriends aren't as understanding as my wife. So they're like, well, I don't know if they want to go. I'm like, well, you married the wrong person. You're dating the wrong person. All right, we're gonna go. I'm putting that on the list.
Yes.
What else are you doing to work towards that public speaking career?
I feel like I've had enough experience on the microphone, you know, and just honestly, just being patient, getting on the microphone, obviously after my wins is always great, right?
Yeah.
And doing interviews is very helpful, but to be honest, like I'm not like studying public speaking. I feel like that's just, it's kind of like fucking fighting, dude. Like you got it or you don't. Like you can train a little bit for it, but at the end of the day, just stop saying like and every 2 seconds.
Right.
Yeah. And be intentional with your words and with your path of what it is that you're trying to get to. And you'll be all right. You know, like just let it fucking rip from the hip, you know?
So when you're ready to craft the keynote, I happen to know a guy who would be happy to do me a favor and chat with you. He was the #1 public speaking guy on like the college tour. And this is one of those guys who was getting $25,000 for an hour-long keynote. And he was ranked #1 in the nation like two years in a row. He used to give this talk about living life in the front row. And he's got great stories. And he should have been a stand-up comedian because his timing is perfect. And he did this speaking circuit for about 3 years and made absurd money and then kind of went into like coaching fathers because he's like, wait a minute, I keep telling everybody my family's the most important thing and I'm on the road 250 days a year. So he switched gears, but he is probably top 5 in the nation at crafting keynote speeches and helping people with that process. And now he just does it for fun for people he cares about, because like that's not his career anymore. But I gotta hook you up with John Vroman, because like you guys would create a banger of a keynote speech.
Let me know, dude. Yeah, I'm in it.
I gotta ask a weird question. How much does your past in stripping affect your like success in fighting?
It's everything.
I was just gonna say, because I have to imagine like being on stage, right? Like pole dancing looks pretty physical. Like how much of that DEXA scan, body strength, core strength, how much of that do you think comes from your previous career?
A lot.
Yeah?
Yeah, dancing is fucking hard. Like, and I wasn't just like, we call them shoe models, right? I wasn't just a shoe model like walking around. Like
that's like a stripper term, shoe model?
Shoe models, yeah. So like some girls, they just kind of just walk around. No. Your girl was active. Like, I mean, I was considering Cirque du Soleil as a profession versus being an MMA fighter. Like, I was doing crazy flips all the way up the pole, 2-3 stories high, suicide drops to the bottom, catching yourself like right before you hit the fucking ground. Like, I was a true acrobat on that pole. And that is so hard to do. Like, the calisthenics is insane. You have like flexibility, dexterity, spatial awareness, being able to like flip around that thing and not miss the fucking pole, you know? And I mean, honestly, you fall sometimes. So if you're going to fall on a stage full of like hundreds of people in the room while you're wearing underwear or less, I mean, I can fight in an octagon, right? In my underwear.
Yeah.
And no less. Like, yeah.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. And, you know, the social skills that come with it, like the psychology that goes behind it. I mean, absolutely everything that has to do with that job, with the exception of like lap dances, I feel like correlates very directly with being a fighter.
Wait, you don't give lap dances to your fans? Come on.
I mean,
that's what the guys might be here for. Jesus.
I do try to control my opponents psychologically in the same aspect, but
there you go. What else is like in the near term future for you? Like, what does Vanessa's life look like for the next year to 5 years?
I haven't told anybody these things, but I also do
breaking news on the On the Edge podcast.
I am currently developing an app to help people with their finances because it matters to me. Nice. And I know that like you'd be interested in something like that. And
I know a guy.
Okay, hook me up. You know a lot of guys, so hook me up. And then I also do day trading, so that's fun. Yes.
Wait, what? You're like the Dos Equis world's most interesting gal. You're day trading?
Yeah. I mean, I have a coach, and I would definitely still consider myself a white belt, right?
Okay.
But I mean, I've got like a few stripes now, right? Like I'm doing all right. But yeah, I do day trading, and I'm really like consistent, and I really care about it.
Wait, this is so confusing to me. Like, you fight for a living. How are you also finding time to day trade? Because that takes a lot of skill and a lot of work and a lot of like mental fortitude, which you obviously have in spades. So I get that part of it.
Do you know what it really is?
What is it?
Pattern recognition. Same as jiu-jitsu.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you're like a chart gal, you know, you're looking at like.
Yeah, I'm a chart gal.
All right. Can you explain to people the day trading world? Because a lot of people don't know what that is. They saw one movie, Boiler Room or something like that, and saw people ripping people off, or maybe they saw The Big Short or something. Like, what does day trading entail? Like, what are you trading, commodities or stock futures, or what are you trading?
Yeah, I trade on the Forex.
Okay, of course.
So, because I love adrenaline.
Yes, of course. For those of you that don't know what Forex is, Google it. It's like trading currencies. It's the most high risk, high reward. Like, yeah, there's a lot you can do with the charts, but it's fucking terrifying.
It is terrifying.
I know. A friend,
until you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have a good friend, Richie, who does that for a living full time. He's a full time dad and a full time trader. So he wakes up at like 6 a.m, posts all of his trades with his kid, and then they go work out for like 10 hours.
Yes.
It's amazing. He's the world's best father. Shout out to Richie. But he also trades Forex.
And he has all the time in the world.
All the time in the world to do what he wants.
Yes. So that is my goal, right? So when I say that like I do day trading, like even right now, I'm not looking at this as like, oh, I got to fucking make money. Like, I don't care, right? I look at this as like an educational platform for myself that I can set myself up in the future to have complete fucking hands-off freedom, right? So I do study the charts a lot, and I understand the ebb and flow. And you have to know when things are going to fall, when things are going to rise. And you can only do that by like, you know, marking things off and knowing like, okay, well, this is an intersection here. here where things are known to kind of like bounce back, and you have to watch it, and just like you got to know what you're fucking doing. Like, this is an Ivy League skill that people just kind of play around with because they see other people making money and they think that it's fucking cute, and it's not fucking cute. Like, you will lose your goddamn ass, you know, if you don't know what you're doing, because the banks know how to just like manipulate the markets appropriately as they should. So you have to know, you have to kind of try to predict what the banks are going to do. But again, I can correlate that to fighting, right? Because just like in fighting, in a real fucking fight, you have to kind of think like, well, what does my opponent want to do? What is their objective? What might they do? And then this is what's actually happening. And you have to think really fucking fast on your feet.
Yeah.
Yes.
Same with Forex, right? Like,
same with Forex.
You have to be in and out of trades frequently pretty fast.
Yeah, it depends on what type of trader you are. Like, for me, I like to hold trades for multiple days.
Oh.
Yes. So I like to hold my trades. I'm not like a quick flip, like a quick turnaround.
Yeah.
I forget what those are called, but that's not me. I ain't
That's
that.
what my buddy Richie does. He's like, I'm never in a position by the time I leave for the gym. I'm like, wait, so you're in and out in like a couple hours? He's like, yeah, at most. I'm like, that sounds exhausting. I'm like, what? You know, and he was explaining it to me where it's like, if you're winning on 52, 55, 60% of your trades, yeah, there's a lot of trades where you lost $1,000, but if there's more trades where you made $1,000, like a dollar cost averages into a pretty good living. And he has a pretty good living doing this.
Yes. And I think like stop losses are so important. Like, some people are like, I don't believe in stop losses. I'm like, you're fucking crazy. Like,
I did not have a stop loss on our bingo card for the podcast tonight. That was not at all. I thought this podcast could go a lot of different directions.
Wasn't it.
I did not have stop loss on my bingo card.
Listen, this is great. I fucking love it. Yeah, because I mean, it's all about percentages, and it's about numbers and leverage and all of these things, right? Which is like so complicated to talk about in 5 minutes on a podcast. But
right.
Yes, I day trade. And I'm also, like I said, developing an app right now as well. So, which, you know, a guy hooked me up. Yeah, and then in the future, I will be doing public speaking. But right now, all I give a fuck is just punching this bitch in the face, whoever happens to be in front of me today.
And how long is the roadmap from where you're at to like potential championship fight? What like I don't
fucking long.
I don't really understand the ranking system. I mean, I know like these people are in the top 5, like people, you know, injuries happen and whatnot. So these guys are kind of going to fight at some point in the future. But like, how many people, for example, in the UFC are in your weight class roughly? A lot. I mean, there's like 600 plus athletes in the UFC currently. Right.
And there's quite a few in the 115 pound weight division, which I'm grateful for.
How many weight classes are there in the women's arena?
3.
Okay. What is it, like 115?
115, 125, 135.
Oh, okay. So if you're a big girl, you can't fight in the UFC.
Nope.
And so I'm guessing, if I had to take a guess, I wish Chris was here to fact check this. Of the 600 fighters, maybe 150 of them are women. And so there's probably 50, 60 women just in your weight class.
Yeah, potentially. That sounds about correct.
Ooh, that's a lot of people to fight.
Oh, well, that makes it better for me, because then hopefully I don't have to fight my friends.
Yeah.
But I'm friends with like almost everybody, so it's like really fucking hard for me.
Right.
Yeah.
Who's at the championship caliber right now in your weight class that you look up to? Like, not even if they're the current champion.
Look up to? Those are strong words.
Oh, okay. Whose fight style do you enjoy watching?
I just like watching people fight.
Yeah? You're still a fight fan?
I'm a fucking fan.
Yeah.
I love fighting.
I saw you at this most recent on Instagram. I saw you at Fight Night Noche in the Sphere.
Yeah.
That looked awesome.
Oh, it was amazing. No, there's never going to be another cool-ass fucking sporting event that's anything like that. Yeah. Are you kidding me? The way that, like, the graphics and, like, the lights and just, I mean, it was fucking mind-blowing to be in there. Holy shit, that was amazing.
Yeah. I went to the YouTube concert with no expectations and thinking that like the Sphere is just going to be a gimmick. They're going to have like a little LED display behind U2 and whatever. Like, I've seen U2 play like 12 times. I'm like, I went in there with no expectations, which is probably the best thing I could have done. And that place fucking blew my mind. Yeah. It's going to be hard to watch a concert anywhere else.
It's going to be hard to go back to the Apex.
Yeah.
After being inside of the freaking Noche.
Right.
Yeah. It was amazing.
All right. So when are you targeting your next fight? I know you said that you're like... I
hope I can fight in 3 weeks.
Really?
Yeah. Fuck yeah. Put me in. Let's go. But with the exception of that, I probably won't fight until next year.
Okay.
Because They're already booked out through December, and then they take a break for Christmas because it's actually an amazing company that loves its employees and wants people to be like mentally healthy because they do so many fucking shows.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they really do kind of shut down around Christmas time.
Okay. So hopefully we get no offense to the other ladies out there. Hopefully one of you gets injured and Vanessa gets to step in your spot.
Hopefully, but I am ready if it happens. Okay. I don't want anybody to not get to fight because fighting's a big deal, you know,
Yeah.
and it's a huge decision for us. If we go through this entire fucking camp and then an injury happens, and it's so heartbreaking.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I fucking broke my shoulder the week of my fight, and I still fought with a broken fucking shoulder, and I beat that hoe's ass.
You won?
Fuck yeah.
You had a broken shoulder and you fought?
Yep. I got on the mic and I talked about it too. I thanked Jesus first thing.
There's mornings where I'm like, my ankle's a little tweaked. I don't know if I want to go to jiu-jitsu today. And you fought in the UFC at the Pinnacle with a broken fucking shoulder?
Freshly broken shoulder. Couldn't even fucking lift my arm. Like, I'm in the back warming up, and my coach looks at me. He's like, guess we're going to have to turn into a kickboxer today. I'm like, all right, let's go.
So
Like,
how did you win that fight?
I actually had more significant strikes that fight than I've had in any other fucking previous fight. I think all of them combined, in fact.
What?
I beat that hoe's ass.
Holy cow, man.
Yeah, it was fucking great. That was actually 2 fights ago.
So, like,
Not the one that happened over the weekend, but the last one.
I'm going to ask you, and maybe you can't answer this question. Is it kind of like, all right, cool, I just tell everybody I'm okay to go?
Yeah.
Or did you tell the doctor that you were injured and he's like, no, you're fine to fight? Or
No.
like, no, you're just like, I'm cool.
You lie about it.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, which most fighters do.
Yeah.
We all fucking lie about it.
I got to imagine every fighter is injured at some level going into every fight.
Every fight.
Holy shit.
Actually, not every fight. I was not injured this last time.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, like most fighters are pretty fucking beat up. Yeah.
Makes sense.
And it literally happened like the Tuesday of the fight. Like
So does it piss you off when you hear, like, I'll just use him by name? You know, I thought Sean O'Malley was very graceful in his loss. He put some stuff on social media that, like, you know, I overpromised and underdelivered. Marab was the man tonight.
he was graceful that night.
He was graceful that night. And now you find out that, like, he's having surgery on, like, a torn labrum, and a lot of people are making excuses for him of, like, well, he just wasn't the same, blah, blah, blah. Well, I think Marab beat your ass no matter what because, like I said, that guy's got a gas tank and a half. But does it bother you when people lean on their injuries and it is an excuse to why they didn't have a good performance, knowing that you went in with a broken shoulder and still were able to win?
Yeah, like when Conor McGregor pulled out of his fight over a broken toe, and then Alex Pereira stepped in with a broken toe.
Alex Pereira
place.
is like the Terminator.
Yes.
I mean, that guy, that dude doesn't even make sense to me.
Like Conor pulled out with a broken fucking toe, and I'm like, I literally fought with a broken fucking shoulder. Like,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, not that I think Conor McGregor watches my podcast, but yeah, he should probably just hang it up if he's canceling a fight for a broken toe.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine what it's like to be him, but I don't think he's gonna ever fight again.
No.
You know, they finally got Michael Chandler in there to fight Charles Oliveira, and I'm so happy about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like Charles Oliveira's. So since you won't have to fight any of these people, is there any men you look up to where you're like, yeah, I'd like to emulate that guy's fight game?
I just think that everybody is fucking special. Like, everyone's got some sort of it factor, right? Like, I fucking love Justin Gaethje because that motherfucker's in there to have a goddamn train wreck, right?
Right.
He's like, we're doing this. But it's not the smartest game plan, but I fucking love it.
Right.
You know, and Charles Oliveira gets knocked out almost every fight. But man's got such good jiu-jitsu, it doesn't matter. I love it. I don't know if I want to emulate that, you know?
Right.
Like, Max Holloway, great fucking boxing, beautiful boxing. But does he mix up the MMA? No, he's just in there to box people. And I'm like, I fucking love it. I don't know if that's the way I want to fucking look up to. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like I can take bits and pieces from everybody and be like, let me make the perfect fighter emotionally, you know? And even that, everyone's got a fucking puncher's chance. MMA is a psycho sport. Just because this person beat this person doesn't mean that they're going to beat the next. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, doesn't mean they're going to beat the guy that guy beat, right?
Yeah.
Like, MMA math doesn't math. Everybody
Right.
can fucking throw a fucking punch and hit somebody. And it is insane. And I love it. And that's why people will call me and they're like, you were a fight analyst. You know these guys. You know both of these guys. Who's going to win?
Yeah, who should
And
I
I'm
bet
like,
on? Is
who
what
should
they're
I put
really
my-
asking, right?
Yeah, who should I put my money on? And I'm like, I don't know. so like, because I see the beauty in every fucking fighter. I'm like, I see your strengths. I also see your fucking weaknesses. And I think it's amazing. And that's the beauty of MMA. And I think as long as MMA stays pure and doesn't turn into what fucking boxing turned into, like, it's the coolest sport in the fucking world.
Boxing is a joke at this point. Is like, as a hardcore boxing fan, it's so hard to like accept the fact that like the best fights aren't made because this promotion is fighting with this promotion and this guy has this belt over here and that guy has this belt over there. Like, say what you will about the fights that, you know, they've had class action lawsuits against the UFC and wanting to unionize the fighters or whatever. Say what you will, but the fact that at the end of the day, it's Dana's decision for who's going to fight who, it means we get the best fights.
Yes.
So you think that's worth it?
What?
Like, as a sport, just as a sport, just as an industry, is it worth having like UFC almost having a monopoly on the pinnacle of the MMA game because we get the best fights?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that, you know, I mean, it'd be nice, obviously, to get paid so much more as a fighter. And I think that Dana is trying to do the right thing, right? And now, like, there are other fighting leagues out there that do pay a lot of money, depending, blah, blah, blah. But I feel like as a fighter, though, it's also our fucking responsibility to be entertainers and be entertaining enough to earn your fucking paycheck, right? And it's not about the money that you get paid in the UFC, but what are you doing with it, right? Like, and how are you utilizing it? Because fighting is an opportunity, right? Like, it's not the end of the road. And if that is the end of the road for you, I'm fucking sorry, because there's so much life to live. I'm not identified by being a fighter, right? But it is like such a huge part of me today. And I'm so grateful for it. But I talked to somebody who is an executive, and this was like a long time ago. They probably don't even remember this conversation. But I was talking about one of the fighters that wanted to get paid more money. And they're like, well, they chose fighting. They didn't choose football. They didn't choose baseball. They chose fighting.
Right.
This is what you should know, what the pay grade is as a fighter when you step into this, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like a sport like jiu-jitsu, for example, that is now starting to create income for some people. We're talking fucking 10. Like, right? Like, you chose that sport. Like, that you knew that this sport didn't have money in it, right? So it's like, you gotta, like, I do it for the passion, and I'm grateful that I get to get paid. Yeah. And do I want to get paid more? Who the fuck doesn't want to get paid more? Right.
Everybody's worth more money. Just ask them.
Yeah, exactly. So, but this is the sport that we chose, and this is the pay grade that we get.
Yeah.
And
it kind of makes me laugh and cry at the same time. It's like, A, do I think teachers should get paid more? Sure. B, do they know exactly what they're going to get paid when they sign up for the job? Yes. It's like, you can see your pay schedule each year. Here's the cost of living. Here's the growth. Here's what you get paid if you go get another master's degree. So it's like, yeah, okay, cool. You guys are taking care of kids and raising a generation of people. You should probably get paid more. And you know exactly what you signed up for. So I kind of feel the same way about fighters. I'm with you on that it's like, this is the path you chose. You knew what the contracts were going to be.
Right. And I feel like they're getting better and better and better. Yeah. Right? They are. They really, truly are. But yes, well, I mean, we are still like sacrificing our whole fucking lives, you know, moving forward past being fighters. Yeah. Like our bodies, our brains, all of these things. And
does that worry you?
I'm a psycho. Yeah.
Yeah, you say that, but I know that you also, you know, want to find a guy, you want to have kids, you want to do all those things. Does it worry you at all, like the abuse that you've put your body through?
No.
Okay.
And I think I can't worry about that. You know, it's like, do you get in your car every day and worry about getting into a car accident?
Hell no, I drive like a maniac.
Okay. Same fucking concept. You know, it's like, I love what I do, and I'm really passionate about it. And I've been into some wars, right? Unfortunately. And I feel like I paid my dues on that aspect. And yeah, I just do the best that I can with the situation that I have. I take my vitamins. I don't drink. You know, I get lots of sleep. Like, I do the best that I fucking can. Yeah. I care.
You don't let podcasters smoke. It's perfect. Now I'm going to be addicted to these nicotine pouches because of you.
You're welcome.
I'm blaming it on you. So I always like to end the podcast on a couple questions. One, we're about a month ahead on the filming schedule, so this will probably come out like October of 2024.
Okay.
What are you most looking forward to going into the end of the year and then next year? Like, what's on the immediate roadmap for Vanessa that you're most excited about? And then, I'm a movie junkie, so what's your favorite movie and why?
My favorite movie? That is so hard.
I know.
Oh my goodness. I feel like I was Divergent.
Really?
It's a really good movie. Yeah.
Divergent.
Yeah.
Why?
Because I feel like I can't be molded, right? And divergent is all about like, you know, just conforming and being manipulated. And I just can't be manipulated. And I can't conform. I won't. Like, so yeah, I'm just so different. And I just really love that movie. It's a fucking cool movie.
I love it.
Yeah.
And what are you most looking forward to in the near future?
Maybe taking a vacation. Yeah.
When's the last time you took a vacation and really unplugged and didn't train 7 times a day?
It's been about 3 years.
Whew. Mexico is calling. I mean, you'll still get in some training.
Well, so that's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I go on what's called like work vacations, you know, where like I'm out there, but I'm busy the whole time because I'm broadcasting or I'm getting ready to fight, right? So it's like, don't fucking eat that. Like, don't eat that good smelling barbecue that they got right there.
Yeah.
Like I'm dieting the whole time, or like I'm getting ready to fight somebody, or I'm getting ready to broadcast. So like when you're broadcasting, like you have to go to all the meetings and like, you know, do like the mic checks and all of these things and like see the venues and
figure out how to pronounce some weird Brazilian guy's name.
Right. Yeah. Interview all of the fighters because you don't like, it's crazy. So a real vacation I haven't been on in a really, really long time. And I don't have one planned right now, but I want to take one.
Mexico. I think Mexico is all in all of our futures.
I like Mexico.
You and my wife can hang out by the pool and I'll work in the hotel room or something.
I would love that.
All right. Well, Vanessa, man, I really appreciate you making time. I know how busy your schedule is. I know you have to be up early tomorrow for training. I just appreciate the hell out of you. It's been great to get to know you personally, professionally. I can't wait to help you buy a bunch of rental properties and then have even more money from all your Forex training. So just thank you. Seriously, I really appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you to all of you guys that are watching. I super love you. If you guys want to come follow me on Lil Monster Demo, Lil Monster Demo on Instagram, because I genuinely care.
I love it. Thank you.
Yes. Bye, guys.